Aloha, my name is Racquel Figueroa.
And I'm Chris Kaua'i.
And we're going to share some facts that come from the United States Department of Defense. The Department of Defense Missile Defense Agency has proposed a radar complex called Homeland Defense Radar Hawaii, or HDR to be built at PMRF on Kaua'i. This image shows the size of the radar compared to the historic county building in Lihue. The radar would have one purpose: to detect and track the launch of an intercontinental ballistic missile from North Korea. Current estimated cost is $1.9 billion. Since its introduction in 2018, the HDR has lost support at the Department of Defense. For 2 years, the Pentagon has been trying to defund it. The reason is that emerging missile technology, the hypersonic missile, can maneuver around and evade detection by the HDR. The Missile Defense Agency has moved on to a space-based network of satellites that theoretically can detect all missiles. What's keeping the radar alive is hundreds of millions in appropriations by our Hawaii delegation. One thing Republicans and Democrats in Washington can agree on is to appropriate even more money to the Pentagon than they even ask for. $24 billion more in the last defense authorization cycle. It makes pork barrel projects like this more likely to succeed.
PMRF has severely restricted access to the coastline it is adjacent to since the 9/11 tragedy in 2001. This has limited the ability to practice traditional Hawaiian fishing and gathering in the miles of productive shoreline where PMRF is located. With the extreme electromagnetic radiation emissions HDR would produce and proposed siting being at the very edge of the PMRF boundary at Kokole Point, commonly referred to as targets, it lends one to believe that they would increase restrictions at the Kokole area, a favorite fishing, surfing, and recreation area for many locals. It is my fear that if HDR is constructed, we may lose access to more coastline resources.
The site Chris described is at the southernmost tip of the military base, put there because the current operators at PMRF don't want it anywhere near their operations because the extreme electromagnetic radiation emissions will interfere with their electronics. In fact, the emissions are so powerful that the Federal Aviation Administration would impose a 9-mile no-fly zone, an airspace restriction that would cause the helicopter tour industry that puts the safety of its passengers and crew first to be forced into fewer flights, meaning job layoffs. The Kaua'i Waterbird Sanctuary is in the radar's target area. The military says the radar is pointed up, not affecting the ground, but these birds, some endangered, will be flying in the radiation. The military says in a frequently asked questions page, the radar's operation is not anticipated to have a significant adverse effect on endangered species. If a bird species is endangered, even one lost bird is significant.
And if threatening our native waterbirds is not enough, historically, the land occupied by PMRF is rightfully Hawaiian Kingdom Crown lands. It has been in a state of title fraud since the disenfranchisement of the Hawaiian nation in 1893. Like it or not, this is the truth which is common knowledge throughout Hawaii by now. It is only a matter of time until the U.S. military overreach can no longer sustain itself, and the government must acknowledge its own laws and participate in the deoccupation process. In the meantime, we cannot allow further military development to dig the hole deeper, continuing a legacy of illegal occupation and displacement of Native people.
The military would build the radar complex only 300 yards from the ocean. You can see it at the bottom left in this aerial photo. It's in direct path of a tsunami and hurricane surge, and sea level at this location is predicted to rise 3 feet by the end of the century. The military's answer is to put the complex on a nature-defying platform, 27 acres big and 1 million cubic yards in volume. That would take 80,000 truckloads of concrete and infill delivered on Kaua'i Highway, degrading roadway and bridges and disrupting commerce and daily life for a year or more. And that's before they even start building the radar. The radar would require up to 22 megawatts of electricity. KIUC's current magazine reports that KIUC's maximum production is 75 megawatts at maximum demand. Does KIUC have to find 30% more electricity to run the radar, which runs day and night all the time? Will KIUC's stated goal to reach 100% renewable production be thrown into reverse by burning more oil at Port Allen? What about the promise that as renewable production goes up, rates will go down? What about KIUC's obligation to young generations to confront the climate crisis by eliminating carbon emissions? Kaua'i does not have hundreds of houses waiting for off-island workers to live in for up to 6 years. The military takes no responsibility for housing them or for our ohana who will be displaced. Whatever study was made of infrastructure and resource needs to construct and operate the HDR H was made for Oahu. With its million-plus population, Kaua'i, with just 57,000 residents, is unprepared to take on this massive undertaking.
The military's neglectful behavior at Red Hill on Oahu, where 63,000 people have had their lives upended by jet fuel contaminating their drinking water, should be a cautionary heads up for us as we confront this massive radar, like nothing Kaua'i has ever seen before. As a native Hawaiian who happened to be born on December 7th, I have often wondered if the bombing at Pearl Harbor would have occurred if Pearl Harbor was not there. The answer is no. Now I find myself wondering if there will be a bombing of PMRF, and would it occur if PMRF was not there? The answer is also no. The U.S. Navy's history in Hawaii is one wrought with destruction and broken trust. No more Kaho'olawe or Red Hill stories. It's time to divest from the arms race. As the planet spirals into a climate crisis, all humanity is at risk. The people of Hawaii need to step up and see Hawaii's global purpose realized, to stand as an example of purity, sustainability, abundance, and connectedness, and aloha for the rest of the world. The HDR H project is not a step in this direction. Don't waste our time or taxpayer money, or more importantly, don't waste our Hawaiian land on this project.
Thank you for your time, and feel free to reach out with any questions.